Donald Trump has the opportunity to remake the Supreme Court for a generation. A woman's right to decisions over her own body are at risk. Equal rights, equal marriage is also at risk. We do not want an extremist judge on the United States Supreme Court.
Lots of concern across the nation that abortion rights will soon be under attack. This after Justice Kennedy's retirement from the U.S. Supreme Court. All you have to do is listen to the president addressing an anti-abortion group earlier this year, and you can understand that concern.
Today I'm honored and really proud to be the first president to stand with you here at the White House to address the 45th March for Life. The March for Life is a movement born out of love. You love your families, you love your neighbors, you love our nation, and you love every child, born and unborn, because you believe that every life is sacred.
And this president has pledged to appoint only pro-life judges to the U.S. Supreme Court. Joining us now, Planned Parenthood's political communications director, Erica Sack. And Erica, thank you for a few minutes.
Happy to be here.
Is this, to your mind, the retirement of Justice Kennedy and the coming appointment of a new justice by President Trump, the most grave threat to abortion rights in the U.S. since Roe versus Wade?
There is no doubt about it. Access to abortion in this country is at risk with Kennedy's retirement. As you just mentioned, the president has pledged to only appoint justices who oppose Roe versus Wade and the constitutional right to have an abortion in this country.
For many of us, particularly Democrats in the Northeast, abortion is something of a settled issue, but it's clearly not around the rest of the nation. Where are the numbers? Where's the American public on access to free and legal abortions?
Well, you know, that's the thing, is that the majority of Americans in this country support access to abortion. 72% of Americans support access to abortion and do not want to see Roe versus Wade overturned. And in fact, that's across political parties. So that's a majority of Democrats, a majority of Republicans, and a majority of independents support women's access to safe, legal abortion.
But Erica, you know as well as I do, there's a difference between supporting abortion rights and abortion access versus actually motivating people to go to the polls and vote based on that as an issue. Is this a voting issue for pro-choice voters out there?
Absolutely. I mean, the risks have never been clearer, and with them, the motivation of grassroots forces across the country are mobilizing in response. Already, since Trump and Pence have taken office, we've seen historic numbers of people taking to the streets, members of Congress having their phone lines flooded. In fact, a recent study showed that 1/5 of America has taken political action since Trump was elected, and the majority of them, the biggest reason, is because of women's rights.
A lot of people think that any threats through the Supreme Court to abortion rights will just come when the next case happens to pop up. But pro-life groups have been preparing for this moment for quite some time, haven't they?
Absolutely. In fact, you've seen it already. As soon as Kennedy announced he was retiring, anti-abortion groups across the country were touting this as their chance to make it illegal to access abortion in America.
So how do you fight back? Is this a matter of trying to sway one or two Republican senators? Is this a public opinion campaign? How does Planned Parenthood fight back?
Well, right now, the question is going to be with the Senate. And so we are going to absolutely make sure that every single senator hears from their constituents, here's how many people oppose any extreme nominee who would overturn Roe versus Wade, and make sure they know where the priorities lie. Our message is clear. Any justice who will not uphold our basic rights and basic access to health care, and that includes access to abortion, is unacceptable.
Finally, Erica, it's been at least 2 generations since any woman in this country faced the risk of prosecution for getting an abortion during the legal parameters. Jeffrey Toobin, I'm sure you're aware, said that he thinks within 18 months, 20 states could find abortion illegal. Take me inside a small town in Louisiana or South Texas or Oklahoma to a woman in one of those states facing an unplanned pregnancy and an unwanted pregnancy. If Roe versus Wade is overturned, what are her options? What does her life look like?
You know, unfortunately, her options are really limited. And as you mentioned, there are multiple generations of women in this country who's never known what it's like to live without the right to access abortion safely and legally. And unfortunately, in all too many states, we've already seen attempts to restrict access to abortion to the point of taking away that right altogether. In fact, in Texas, until the Supreme Court actually overturned a number of those really harsh restrictions, we saw access whittled away to nearly nothing. And as a result, women's health suffered. You saw a spike in Google searches on how to take abortion into your own hands. You saw women crossing the border. You saw them pawning off valuables just to try and afford to go through burdensome requirements such as multiple day waiting periods, hundreds of miles of travel. It really is unacceptable and, harmful to women's health.
And there will be risks to individual women's lives as well. Erica Sacken, Political Communications Director for Planned Parenthood. Fight of your life coming up, Erica. Best of luck with it.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just defeated Joe Crowley in Tuesday's primaries. Is this the new face of the Democratic Party, young, progressive, and taking on the establishment? And will this have a ripple effect? We'll debate that next.